Sima Acclivity Leo Burnett Forum on Business Revival Post-Terror Attacks was held in Colombo today.
The keynote address was delivered by the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy.
What about the economic fundamentals, which you need to be in sound shape for you to build your businesses? The first point I'd like to make is that on the 13th of May, the Executive Board of the IMF approved the 5th review of the Extended Fund Facility. Now, to us, that was an endorsement that the fundamentals of the Sri Lankan economy was in reasonable shape. If that was not the case, the Executive Board of the IMF would not have approved the review. As of the 18th of April, the central bank's forecast for growth this year was 4%. But clearly there will be a hit, particularly in the tourism sector. Beyond that, the retail sector has taken a bit of a hit. But having said that, there's enough of the economy that's untouched for us to have a robust bounce back.
Security forces are closely working on identifying suspected persons, including persons coming from other areas. We never stop them, because they have rights to move around in our country. But we check them. Activities of NGOs, religious groups are being constantly monitored.
A panel discussion moderated by Kasturi C. Wilson was attended by heads of several sectors in the country.
If you look at 2018, the fourth quarter, what was our growth? It was only 1.8%. And of course, we're yet to see what is the growth for the first quarter of 2019. So therefore, as a nation, we need to look at total economic recovery.
Any kind of terrorism, a natural disaster, epidemic affects tourism first. So it's a very sensitive industry. It's just instant. So we believe that this crisis too, we will overcome. So we have a long way to go.
Now I see the highest number of cancellations coming from the Chinese sector and the Asia Pacific. Good thing is Chinese government has lifted the travel advisories. So now we are coming out with a couple of incentives. The Europe and then the markets like Australia will take some time. So we need to have a medium-term strategy.
Now you would expect incidents like this to impact, say, trust in the financial institutions or the safety of tourism as an industry. But what we are seeing is even basic things like consumption of groceries also gets impacted. For various reasons, communicating the safety and getting things back to normal becomes even more important in a country like ours, Sri Lanka.
Yes, the business is affected, but the people are the first to be affected within the business. And we employ a lot of young people. So we as corporates, we as business owners have a real responsibility to communicate to our staff, to communicate to our colleagues and say, look, we are going to get through this, and this is how we are going to get through this.
If you're talking about hate speech, we're talking about fake news, which actually creates all these issues. And let's face it, I mean, without these platforms, it wouldn't be, none of these situations could be escalated so easily to what it has been escalated to over the last few years that we have seen. So I think it's very important for, government to play a role.
The fundamentals of the economy that the Governor mentioned starts and ends in the kitchen. And unless there's economic prosperity, there's no way that you're going to be able to go into a deep rural Sri Lankan village and talk of being Sri Lankan. And we need to face reality. And the problem is very clear. It is corruption at every level. We have 6-lane highways in Hambantota. Half an hour away from this highway, we have people living in trees. We have a village in Matale in which of the 140 villagers who live there, 62 are in the final stage of renal failure. Let's face facts, and then let's begin to deal with the cause, not the symptom.